Okay, so now we're just going to skip ahead a couple of years where you can talk about your third child.
Okay. All right. Well, that was more than a couple years.
Yeah.
We were in Centralia only 9 months, I believe. We got transferred up here to Decatur, Illinois in October of 1963. And, neither of us knew very much about Decatur, but he came home one day, he says, "You want to move to Decatur?" I thought, well, I guess so. We're probably just on our, because he said, we're probably just on our way to Washington, D.C. anyway. So we just, you know, came up here one day and found well, it took us a while to find the house on Isabella Drive to rent because we didn't know the city, and we just kind of we knew Susan was going to be going to school, and we needed, a good neighborhood, and he had already had a friend up here that had moved before, and he found the house for us, so it was nice place to live, and that one, I think we paid $125 a month rent for that. And again, Phil was examining banks in the whole region. Sometimes he'd go to Memphis and Chicago, and of course when he went to Chicago he rode the train. But he was not home in the evenings, and this was again like nearly 2 weeks out of 4, and we were gonna, well, in 1963 is when President Kennedy was killed, and a lot of things changed after that for a lot of people, and we of course went through all the Vietnam stuff, and we, like a lot of people, delayed having any more children, and by 1968 things were, 67, 68, things were looking a little bit better, that people of his age were probably not going to be drafted. And anyway, I'd been on birth control pills for a long time and went off, and pretty soon our third child was on the way. So that was December 24th, 1967. We had Beth Ann Wise Gruen, and we decided it was time to settle down, and we bought our first house on West Forest Avenue out in the West End, because Susan was already in school at Enterprise, and she was doing well, but we knew that dentist school was one of the better schools in the community, so had good teachers and just a good place to have the kids grow up. So we found that house and bought it, and lived there for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I guess, and that was one of those things there, though. Early on, when I was pregnant with Beth, I was having problems during that last trimester, and Susan was in school and had to walk in some really cold weather to school because we only had one car, and sometimes she'd get a ride, but that was tough for her.
Was David in school too?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, he was. He was 7 years old.
So two of them would walk to school?
Yeah, they did. But anyway, Beth was a good little baby too. She slept well, and she seemed to get along fine. And we moved up to Glencoe Avenue, and really all we got in addition to what we already had, I think, was just a nicer house, prettier house. It didn't have a better yard. The one we lived on Forest had a nice, really backyard for the kids. But by that time, David was starting to play baseball when we moved to Glencoe, And Susan was getting into, she was starting to be interested in art. In third grade, she was already drawing things that you could recognize that it was something good. We had the picture of the chief that she drew and colored. That I don't know if she still has it, but you do? Okay, great. But Beth, by the time we got up there to Glencoe, she was having a lot of illness, that we didn't really know about. She had a series of bladder infections, and she had to go to the doctor. And
She was a baby, or she was young, baby,
no, she was in probably kindergarten, first grade, and she would come home, and she just had very upset, and she was taking medication then every day it was Furodantin or something like that for bladder infection, and she just had to take it so that she wouldn't be ill. But that's one of the things I remember. But she also knew that she wanted to be a teacher early on. She had friends in the neighborhood, and we had a picnic table on the back patio that she would get her stuff out there, and she'd line those kids up. And they were her classmates. She'd have the Hubbard boys and Holly and Christine. And she was teaching, and she never changed her mind about it ever. She knew she wanted to be a teacher. So she says it's a calling, and I believe it is.